So I saw Cocoa and I bought Cocoa, a new release, and it's Spirit and Indulgent. And I paid a bit above 30 bucks for these two 100ml bottles. And I basically bought them for two reasons. Number one, Cocoa. Number two, the notes on both look so good that I'm hoping for the best. So for Zara Cocoa 01 Collection Spirit, what a name by the way, we have coconut at the top, cocoa, tobacco and whiskey at the heart of it, and truffle, cedar, sandalwood and vanilla at the base. For Zara Cocoa 02 Collection Indulgent, we have plum blossom and spicy notes at the top, dark chocolate, heliotrope and labdanum at the heart of it, and bourbon vanilla, woody notes, amber and musk at the base. So looking at those notes, you can understand why I blind bought these. So I'm gonna start with Cocoa 01 and I'm hoping this is a good one. Let's see. Based on my very first initial impressions of Zara Cocoa 01 Collection Spirit is that this opens up with quite a prominent dose of coconut together with something chocolate-ish. This thing oozes coconut and chocolate in the opening with quite a prominent dose of sweetness. And the whole thing is quite creamy and quite smooth. So basically the Spirit one opens up with coconut and chocolate and the whole thing is sweet and creamy. I'm gonna spray on the 02 on my right hand while 01 is drying down. So let's see what this one smells like. Okay, very different. This is definitely quite vanillic in the opening, intensely vanillic in the opening together with something sort of chocolate-ish. This was supposed to have plum blossom at the top. I'm not sure, I'm getting something, some additional kind of sweetness. There's something else to the chocolate and vanilla. I'm not sure if it's plum or whatever it is, but this is definitely, at least in the opening, mostly about vanilla together with chocolate, some additional kind of sort of a sweetness to it, and the whole thing definitely has a bit of spiciness in the opening. So I mean, going back and forth between these two, the opening is definitely different. 01 coconut and chocolate with quite a prominent dose of sweetness, and the whole thing definitely has a really nice sort of a creaminess to it. 02 is more about the combination of chocolate and vanilla, some additional kind of sweetness, and it's definitely be spicy in the opening. Both are definitely sort of a gourmand. However, I do feel 02 feels a lot more sort of a sweet and a lot more gourmand. So I gave both of these some time to dry down, and let's start with 01. The dry down of 01, at least on my skin and at least based on my first impressions of it, turns a bit more sort of boozy-ish the more it dries down. So in the dry down you still can pick up some of the coconut. However, the coconut is not as intense as it was in the opening. It still has that sort of a chocolate-ish kind of vibe to it, but there's definitely quite a prominent boozy side to the whole thing, adding a really nice dose of boozy nuance to it all, and you can definitely feel the whole thing getting a bit more woody. There's a bit of woodiness sort of trying to balance up the whole thing, and the prominent sweetness that I picked up on in the opening through to the mids is still there in the dry down. However, I do feel the sweetness of it has softened up a bit. This was supposed to have tobacco in it, but at least based on my first impressions of the Spirit one, I can't really pick up on it. What a weird but nice combination to combine coconut with chocolate with booziness and woodiness. And that combination in a way makes me think of Nishane Fan Your Flames. However, this and that one are very different. So one way to describe Spirit is that it's a boozy gourmand with a focus on coconut and chocolate. Let's move on to 02 Indulgent, and this, in a way, the dry down of it almost feels like an extension of the opening and the mids. So this pretty much almost smells the same. It's definitely still mostly about chocolate and vanilla. The whole thing is quite intensely sweet. This definitely still feels more gourmand if I compare it to the 01 Spirit. There's still something else to its sweetness. I really don't know what it is. If it's that plum blossom or something else, but this in the dry down has an additional kind of sweetness to it. There's one clear difference though in the dry down, and much like 01, there's a bit of woodiness in the dry down of 02 that sort of balances up its intense sweetness and gourmand side. And I do feel that if you enjoy the combination of chocolate and vanilla, then you most likely enjoy this. It's basically all about chocolate and vanilla with quite a prominent dose of sweetness, and the whole thing in the dry down is balanced up by a bit of woodiness and it's slightly powdery. When it comes to the vibe of both, I do feel that both are more on the sort of a playful and fun and casual side. I mean, they are basically both sort of gourmand and sweet fragrances. I really feel that I gotta wear them more to get a proper feel for the performance. However, based on how they linger in the air around me and how they sit on my skin, I'm gonna say that based on my first impression, these are about average, but definitely not something that is strong. No idea about longevity yet, but at least projection, at least initially for like the first hour, these two are about average, but definitely not beast mode. So here are my initial thoughts on usage. So like seasons and occasions, both of these are more on the sort of a gourmand side of things. Both are a bit warm and sweet, and I do feel both lean a bit more towards spring, fall and winter, and maybe cooler summer nights. As for occasions, anytime you want something sort of a gourmand and sweet on you, definitely date nights or going out though. So who are these two for? If you absolutely love the combination of chocolate, coconut together with a bit of booziness that's balanced up by a bit of woodiness, then definitely the 01. If you love the combo of chocolate and vanilla, then it's definitely 02. Stay away if you don't like any of the notes, if you do not enjoy sweet fragrances, if you do not enjoy sort of a gourmand fragrances. So a quick one on alternatives. One that I right away thought of when I sprayed on Spirit is initially Fanny Frames. This is also coconutty and boozy with tobacco and sweetness. However, it doesn't have the chocolate that this one has, and it has instead a bigger dose of vanilla. For coconut without chocolate and instead with a big dose of freshness, you have Le Beau. Almost the whole line is focused on coconut. If you love chocolate with sweetness and woodiness and think you would enjoy that in quite an ambery blend, then you gotta make sure you check out this compliment getter right here. For an alternative to 02 Indulgent, for a dose of cacao and vanilla with a bit of sweetness and a really nice contrast thanks to lavender, you have Assad Bourbon. What are my final thoughts on these two based on my first impressions of them both? I do feel that for the price, both of these are actually really nice. However, as they both dry down, I do feel that I do enjoy 01 Spirit more. This definitely smells good. So overall, I'm happy that I bought them both. However, I do lean more towards Cocoa 01 Spirit. I would love to know how you feel about these two, so make sure you comment, please drop a like and subscribe for more. Make sure you check out my other Zara videos over there, and I'll see you in the next one.